How do you like my headset? Pretty nice, huh? So I'm just going to make an overview for the editors on how to load your fonts and your paragraph styles. This might be something you haven't done before, so it could be totally new. So just go ahead and follow along here on the screen. You'll see this really cool person in the corner with the headset, but hopefully this will make it clear for you. So what I've done here is I've opened up Andrea's News 3 page, I think, even though it says, or News 2, which would not be page 15, but obviously she hasn't gotten too far on this. But what you're looking at here and what I'm referring to is up here on the right, you have character styles and paragraph styles. Now, it always gives you kind of a basic paragraph, but what you can do is load paragraph styles from previous InDesign pages, and that makes work a lot faster, and it'll make all of our pages consistent. So what you want to do is from a page, so from your page, all you do, and if you don't see these over here, just go up to Window and go to Styles, and then you should have things like paragraph styles, and that'll appear over here, or it'll appear, it might look like this kind of thing, and then you can just grab the top here and set it over there. Same with character styles. So under paragraph styles, you're going to go to this little lined drop down, click on it, left click on it, go down to load paragraph styles, and I've created two documents that you're going to pull from. They're both in our J drive, and if you go to the 2017-2018 page templates and graphics, and then down here you see two all caps styles, and there's two different styles because there are obviously different kinds of pages. Now we could make these for the back, for all sorts of other pages, sports, stuff like that, but I just wanted to create two, and I didn't frankly have a ton of time because I was working on this with Natalie during class. So I made one for the front and one for the inside pages. Now you can select both, I believe, if you click one and hold down Control and click the other. Maybe not. But for most pages, you're going to do inside pages, and you'll just double click it. And what you're going to see is it comes up with all these nice options. You want to make sure those are all selected, except you don't need basic paragraph. And you can say OK, and then notice it's all in here now. This basic paragraph is just your default. You don't need it, so all you're worried about is this here. And I'll show you why this is nice and why it helps. So if I want to format and be consistent with my headline, what I do is I click on the article, or I could click on the box too, kind of depending on what you want to do. But I always just kind of double click on the text in the article, make sure you highlight it, and then this is a headline. So I'm going to look here and say, okay, article headline. Click it. There we go. Okay, and it's perfectly formatted. Now this one is at -62, which is probably from the page I pulled it off of. So obviously you're going to want to make that back to 0 and stretch it all the way across the page. Okay, similarly, for the text of an article, you highlight the whole thing, and I can look over here and body text article. Boom. Okay, so now this is the proper text for that. So as you can see, it's a lot faster. You don't have to fret with like, okay, am I in Minion Pro? What's right here? And I've created ones for every single thing you would need. So here, this is our text for a caption, let's say, and it's kind of tough to get this box here. So I'm going to move this and click that box. Okay, so in this one, it's the caption. So I can scroll down and say, oh, photo caption. Boom. Okay, so that's now correctly formatted. And the one thing we don't have here, which we need to put in on this picture, would be the photo courtesy. And remember, we do that for any picture, and it just goes above. So let's say I create a new text box, and I write courtesy. Everybody always writes curtsy, by the way. Courtesy, Mr. Faulkner or something. Imagine that. Okay. So let's say it's courtesy, Mr. Faulkner. And check, you guys can talk about it if you want a colon right there. But then what I can do is say photo courtesy, click it, and then it formats it and puts it over to the right because those boxes are always to the top right. Okay. Um, and then you can move it right above there. And now we have courtesy Mr. Faulkner, and it's nicely formatted. So it's super quick, super convenient. It has everything in here you would need. Now, if you are also doing the front or something like that, there's one extra step you're going to want to do. So you would need to load the front as well. And so it's important because it has a couple different things on it. So let me open up Jacqueline's Front, and I'll show you kind of what some of those extra things are. So I'm going to exit out of this. I'm not going to save it. You need to save it when you get those paragraph styles in here. So thinking through it, Andrea hasn't done much on here, so I'm just going to save this so she already has those styles in there. And I'm going to say yes. But I'm going to exit out of it. And then what I'm going to do is open up Jacqueline's Front just to show you what it looks like. So let's go back to back. Classic. Okay, we're going to go to JC compiled 2016-17, and it was March that we changed it. So on the front here, I'm sorry, this is Ashley's, not Jacqueline's. And voila. Okay, so the reason there's a different one for the front is you might use a lot of similar things, but some different fonts we have here are, for instance, this is called our banner, okay, or you might call it a couple other things, but what we can do is I could load paragraph styles. I can go to our current Jesuit Crusader. So there we go. I can go to front only, double click that, and I'm going to get all this stuff again. But you might notice there's some new stuff in here. So the big mast, so they call it a whole bunch of different stuff. But here, let's say I messed this up, and let's say I made it into like, you know, I'd made it Old English Text MT, but I made it like, what, 40? Something like that. Okay, so it's this, and you're like, oh shoot, that's not quite right. Or I really messed it up, and I put it in like this one, and you're like, wow, that's not right. Mr. Faulkner's not going to like that. Then what I can do is simply, again, by clicking on the box, making sure the box is selected, I go over here and I say front big mast, boom, and it's perfect. Okay, so again, really helpful. So this is the main one that's different here. The article body text is the same, and then this is the other thing that's a little different, is down in the corner you have your pictures, and then we often did this thing where we said center arts sports. That one I called it the preview pictures headline font. That's this one down here. Now be careful, because obviously if you click some other text, you know, if you click another box, which is probably the better way to do this. So I'm on this box, and I do front big mast, or I do headline style, or body text. Ooh, that looks nice. Okay. So you'll notice how it automatically changes it, which is really nice. But you got to make sure you load them in there. Character styles, don't worry about. We haven't done anything with that yet. Briefly, I just want to show you this one last thing in case anybody forgets. I think you all know this really well. But if you don't have that first letter here, although it just keeps doing it, so that's funny. Remember that to do this is just over here under paragraph, and you can go down to 1 or up to 3. Okay, so that's what you're looking for there. And remember, because sometimes we forget, and that's okay, remember that our pages are always 5 columns across. So as you go down your page, that should line up. The only exception is Hannah talked to me about her opinion page, where there's 2 columns for the kind of pro-con page we have there about later start times. So that's how you load paragraph styles. I hope that helps. Shoot me an email if you have questions or anything about that. But that's the basic gist of it. You'll need to do it for every single one of your pages, but and we should probably put it into the template pages, but that will allow it to be there kind of forever, which is nice. So anyway, good luck. I hope things are going well, and I will see you next week.